Welcome back, aliens. This is Navin Reddy from Telescope Learnings, and in this video we'll talk about XML introduction. So as we have seen in the theory why we require XML, so let me just recap what we have done. So when we talk about XML, so we use this terminology. XML basically stands for extensible, so it is extensible markup language. Okay, so that's the full form of XML. So when we talk about XML, why we require XML? So let's say we want to send some data from server to client. So whenever you have a website, so let's say we have a client machine here, and then we have a server machine. Okay, so we have two machines. When you want to send data from the server to client, what we use? So basically we use HTML page, right? So what you see on the browser, what you get is an HTML page. So this thing here, client sends a request to the server, server returns a HTML page. So this HTML page will be passed by your browser, right? So you can see some text. So example, if I go to a website, let's say if I go to maybe a website like Wikipedia. So if I go to Wikipedia, okay, so I'm getting this page. So I'm getting this page here, and if I right click and if I go to view source, so that's the source code which I'm getting from the server to the client machine, right? And then this is converted in the format of a page. So we have all these tags which gets converted into the page, right? So we send HTML page. The other way of sending data is, let's say you don't want to show the whole page, because this HTML page will have two things: the layout, comma, data, right? So we have two things in HTML: the layout, how it should look like, and the actual data. But let's say I don't want to send the layout, I just want to send the data. So we can use something called as XML to send that data. So XML will be used to send data from server to client. Okay, so we can also send data from client to server, that's not the issue. So a server can send HTML or XML. In fact, now we have a new format where we used to send data is JSON, right? JSON stands for JavaScript object notation. So yeah, we have multiple ways of receiving data, right? So XML is one of the way you can send data from server to client. So that's one use of XML. So we use XML to transfer data. Now the second use of XML is to configure the server, or to configure the software. Example, in Java, or if for that matter, if you talk about any language, to configure your server, to configure your framework, we use XML. In fact, in Android, to design the page, we use XML. In Spring Framework, to specify the object dependencies, we use XML. So XML is used to configure the framework, and it also used to transfer data. So it is important to know about XML. Maybe you're not the master of XML, but you should know the basics of XML. So in this video, we'll talk about the basics. So to understand basics, let's create an XML file. So we'll go to others, and we'll search for XML file here. We'll click on next, and we'll name this file as, let's say, alien, because this file will maintain all the names of aliens. So we'll say aliens.xml. So that's the XML name here. So whenever you write XML file, this is the first thing you have to write on the top. We have $XML, which specifies that the file you are working with is of XML. This is the version, which is 1.0 version of XML, and the encoding format, because this XML will be passed by XML parser. So we have a concept of something called as XML parser, which understand the XML format you have written here. Okay. Now what next? So whenever you work with XML parser, we have to mention to create the XML. Let's say I want to send a data, or what's that? Let's say I want to send a data from server to client. Okay, so the data is, let's say, 3000. But what is this 3000? It may be points, it may be salary, it may be some, it can be anything, right? It can be a rank. So this 3000 can be anything. So we have to be very specific what this 3000 actually means. So we'll say this 3000 is points. Okay, we can say may not be points, but let's say this 3000 is salary. So we have salary open and salary closed. So just to mention what type of data you're working with, we specify tags, right? So this 3000 is a salary. But what, or salary of whom? Then we can mention this is a salary of an alien. So so this alien becomes a parent child to the parent, not child, it's a parent. So this alien is a parent for a child salary. So this is a alien element, and this is your salary element. Okay, so now salary is a part of aliens. But how many aliens we can have? So we can have multiple aliens, right? And every alien will have a unique name. So let's say this is, we'll specify one more tag here as name, and we'll say this is Naveen. So that's my name. We can create one more alien here with the same attribute. So we can say name equal to, let's say, Manoj, and we can specify the salary here as salary. We'll say this is 5,000. Okay, so we have Naveen 3,000 and Manoj 5,000, and you can see we got an error. The thing is, whenever you work with XML, we have to follow some rules. So there are certain rules to follow in XML. So we have the first rule as, whenever you work with XML, so in every XML there should be one root tag. Okay, there should be specifically one root tag. Second, XML is case sensitive. It is case sensitive, and every opening tag needs a closing tag. Okay, so these are the rules we have to follow in XML. Okay, so if I go here, if I say, so what are the rules we are missing? First is one root tag. So we don't have one root tag here. So we have aliens. We have two tags here, but not a root tag. So we'll say all this alien belongs to one aliens. So this aliens becomes your root tag now. Okay, we can also format this. So we say source format. So you can see it looks in a proper format now. So that's the format of XML. So now you can see we have two XML. If I right click and if I say validate, so there is no problem. There's a warning, but no problem. So it's okay. So we got the XML. So that's how your XML should look like. So if I open this XML with the external browser, so let's say if I open this with a parser, so every browser has an inbuilt parser. We'll say, okay, we'll say open with, oh, not default editor, but open with others. We'll open this with Chrome. I guess it should work with Chrome. Oh, there is no option of Chrome, so let me open with Firefox. Oh, Chrome is here, Google Chrome. If I open, okay, so that's the XML format we have. So it detects which tag is inside which tag. So you can see inside alien we have name. So it means it is able to parse it. Example, if I remove this alien, so we are breaking some rules, right? And if I refresh now, so you can see it shows some error here. It's not able to render. Okay, so that's why we have to provide this aliens tag there. And if I refresh, so it is able to render it. Now question arises, how to, so let's say I want to specify some rules, because we have not specified any rule right here. What's the difference between these two elements? Maybe these two elements have the same data. So let's say if this data is also Naveen, so if I make it Naveen here, so we can have two persons with the same name, right? And coincidentally, if they have the same salary, so is it both are same? No, right? Both are different. So let's say this is Naveen Reddy and this is Naveen Bansal. So we have two different Naveens, right? So just to differentiate between these two, we have to use an ID. So we'll say this is alien ID, and we can specify this alien ID as for my ID, I'm mentioning it as A1, that is alien 1, and for this second ID, which is Naveen Bansal, we have alien 2. Okay, so we have two aliens, we have two different IDs, right? So yeah, so now, so we can have this, so we can have something unique. So this is called as attribute. So this is element, and this thing here is an attribute. Even this is an attribute. Okay, and every attribute needs a value, and this value should be in double quotes. Example, if I remove these double quotes, and if I, so you can see we got an error. So that is one rule you can specify here, that every value, every attribute value should be inside double quotes. So we can say every attribute value should be inside a double quote, or not double quote maybe, but you can also have a single quote, even that will do. So you can maybe double quote or single quote, so we can mention here single quote, even that will work. Okay, now let's say for every XML we have two things. So whenever you work with XML, to work with parser, we have to specify something called as grammar. Now this grammar can be of two types. The first type of grammar, it can be structure grammar and it can be a content grammar. So structure grammar deals with the layout of the XML. Example, inside aliens we have alien, inside alien we have name. So that's your structure grammar. The second one is content grammar, which deals with the data. Example, we have Naveen here, we have 3000. So this is your data, right? So let me just go back to Naveen and let's say this is Manoj. So that's Manoj, and let's specify it as 5000. Okay, so we have this value A1 and A2. So we have to first specify the structure. Now how to configure the structure, that we'll see in the next video, because to format the structure we have to use something called DDD, and to format the content we have to use schema. So we'll be working with 3 videos here. So in this first video we have talked about the introduction. In the next video we'll talk about how to configure DDD to create a structure, and then later we'll talk about schema. So yeah, that's it from this video. If you have any questions, do comment, and thanks so much for watching.